And we are live. And we're live. Thank you so much for joining me. This is a segment on Mrs. Madam C.J. Walker. And as you know, we've started our series and we are taping for Madam C.J. Walker, and also known as Sarah Breedlove. And I'm bringing you this third segment on how to obtain business credit. And I am Miss Sarah Breedlove, also known as Madam C.J. Walker, bringing you a segment on how to obtain need this lecture. Because if you're going to start up a business, you're going to need to know who out there will loan you money in starting up your business. And you're going to have to know who will lend you funds as well as give you lines of credit. Excuse me. Let me tell you from what I know, do business with the county, and there are a number of workshops that you can attend to learn about these various things. We talked about Dun & Bradstreet last week, and I briefly touched upon it because it is your status. Sarah Breedmore, I'm going to tell you that when I would have at least 3 credit cards, and if you don't, you need to get some trademarks. So how do you get these trademarks? We're going to cover that in just a second. This here is Sarah Breedlove, better known as Madam C.J. Walker, explaining the business entity and how to get business credit. I want to explain to you, you can attend workshops, you can sign up for workshops, and you can learn these things. First of all, your Dun & Bradstreet number is high up on the list, right next to your EIN number. As I told you, your EIN number is free, and the government will give you that number. And you can call a phone number, and you can get that started online. But you must have your name researched. And I don't think we talk too much about that. You just can't go out and name yourself anything. You have to check and see if that name is available. And if it is available, then you can use it, you can acquire it. Now, at that time, you can determine if you want to be a sole proprietor or if you want it to be a partnership or an LLC. But before you do any of these things, you must go and open up a business bank account, preferably a checking account. with your company's name on it and the address. You don't want to get a post office number. You don't want to get a fictitious address. You want to get a real address. And you can acquire that through going online and inquiring about a real phone number. And you definitely don't want to get one of those phone numbers that is a voiceover. You want to get a real phone number, preferably with a fax number attached to it too. Remember, you're doing business out here. You want to make it look like you've been out there for a while. So that's one of the reasons why I said you need to go and talk to these resource people about lines of credit and trademarks for yourself. Yes, you might have to have a couple of trademarks to show that you've been in business for a while. Now, if you have damaged credit on your personal credit line, you can start the letter writing process to dispute anything on your credit that is incorrect. And your credit reporting agency has 30 to 45 days to respond back to you. Letter campaign writing procedure to write letters and disputing anything negative on your account. If they're write-offs and they've been on there for over 7 to 10 years, there's a statute of limitation for those write-offs, and they have to come off your credit after the statute of limitation has expired. If they have not, you can write those creditors and ask them to remove it or ask the reporting agencies to remove it. Now, there's something called the Fair Credit Bureau, and there are lawyers out there that will take your cases for free. If you have a fair credit issue that they can litigate, they will go in and litigate and ask them to remove it, but the letters have to come from your address. They can only draft the letters, but you must mail them from your location and keep record of the response. And if the attorney has to go into court to litigate for you, he can litigate on your behalf to get his feedback and to also get you a settlement for being damaged. Now, you're a business agency and you are trying to get personal credit. You have to go and fix up your personal credit at the same time, because if you don't have credit noteworthiness that can allow a company to loan you money, they're going to want you to go and personally clear up your personal credit. If not, you can work with an organization that will allow your business to establish a new credit number. And there are special type of credit numbers out there for new businesses. And you must talk to an accountant or noteworthy person to inquire about that. But you certainly have to start off with some funds in the bank for your overhead, for your products, and so you can have funds to function and to start your business off on. But you just can't start a business off a shoestring when you know you need supplies and products. What are you going to do the girl's hair with? You have to have your line of products that you're using for the shampoo, the conditioner. You have to have all those things in place, and you have to have money to go out and purchase those. And that's why you do need to have some line of credit and some credit cards that you can purchase those things on. Now, some people in the past have decided that they're going to go to a bank. After they've corrected their credit and gotten their credit up to par, they might be able to go and get a loan from a bank. But more than likely, the local banks don't want to lend any money. So you have to go to these workshops to find out who these companies are that are loaning money. And some of the smaller than my company's name. But sometimes they still may ask for you to be the guarantor, somebody that will back up this money in the event that you don't pay it back or you miss a payment. Now, you cannot function in this hairline business without no money. You cannot function without an overhead of products. And as Mrs. Madam C.J. Walker would tell you, I had established my company with $300. And that's what I had saved from washing clothes. And I put that $300 into my business, and I started my business off with some supplies and products. And that was my line of credit. But you gals, y'all got credit card these days. You got access to lines of credit. You have to know how to use lines of credit wisely. You have to understand that that line of credit will allow you to buy things, but when you make money, you must pay off those lines of credit so that they will continue to become available to you. But if you don't make those payments and pay off those lines of credit, you are going to create a world of problems for yourself. But a number of times we have not been taught how to use lines of credit, only credit card. Some of your credit cards are going to come from small facilities that will give you supplies like Staples and other small companies. They're not going to give you large sums of money like $25,000 of line of credit. So you have to go to these financial institutes that offers you a line of credit that is a large amount where you could take that money and pay off the bills with it monthly. But you definitely have to have a program, and you definitely have to know how you're going to grow your money. Now, a lot of times you have to know what to invest your money in so your money can start growing for you, because in the bank, you're only getting 3% interest, and you have to know how to go to places like getting a whole life policy that has been structured, and how you can put at least $400 and save $5,000 into that structured whole life policy. And then at the end of the year, you can get about $3,000 of dividend. You now have ownership in the bank. How you can become a salon owner, and how you can become a business owner and become an entrepreneur. And that's what I am. I'm an entrepreneur. You know, I'm back here in the spirit, of course. I don't still live in the physical, but Sherelle M. Garth has decided to channel me and bring me back so I can talk to the neighborhoods here in Indianapolis about how I got so rich. Well, a lot of people ask me, Walker, how did you get to be so rich and thrifty? How did you make your money? And what were the investments you made? Well, back then, I did go out and I solicited for corporations to make donations to my company. And you can ask companies to make donations and buy the stock in your company. And a lot of them will oblige you, and they will buy stock in your company because they see you're making money and they want to be on the other end of prosperity as well. Oh, I traveled to many different cities and other different cities, traveling, introducing myself to those major. Every chance I got when I went to the meetings, I often got on the stage and say, to all those company owners out there, Jay Walker. And I'm kind of doing well, but it could be doing a lot better with the help of most of you corporations, businesses, making donations so I can hire more help and train more women to become entrepreneurs and put them on a path of ownership. How many of you think it would be great for these young Black women to get on a path of ownership? Raise your hand, put them up high. You over there, what's the name of your corporation? And can you make an investment and write a check today for Madam C.J. Walker's establishment? I thank you very much. And how about you, young man over there? Your corporation seems to be doing fairly well. I read about you. Can you make a donation to Madam C.J. Walker? Yes. And you up there in the balcony, can you make a donation? Write your checks out to Madam C.J. Walker. I will be gladly obliged, and you will have a write-off, and you can put me on your taxes as a write-off. And you'll feel good about yourself and all the great work you're doing for these Negroes here in Denver, Colorado, who needs jobs and who needs to begin to work for themselves. That's the best thing you can do, ladies and gentlemen, is work for yourself, because you invest in yourself than you would in Now, let me say something. I didn't get rich and well-to-do because I was stingy. I had to learn how to give of myself too and make great donations. And I've made great donations to the inner city. I've gone down in the trenches, down in the deep, deep part of Indianapolis, and I found those poor people. And the ones who were doing without, I made a commitment to make donations to them, a basket every year of food to those people. And I stuck by my word. I have not shrink back on my commitment. And I'm telling you that each and every one of you women can work for yourself. If you can work hard for other people, you can work twice as hard for yourself. And I urge you to do so. I urge you to sign up with Madam C.J. Walker. I have a kit of materials that women go out and market for me, and they get to make a profit off of everything they sell. Nothing is done for free these days. You have to have people make a profit. Just like the Jim Crow laws where they promised us so much profit and we didn't make anything. Now, I want to plead to Roosevelt. Of our black men have been put in prison for no reason other than lottery. And now you find half of our black men hanging and swinging from trees where we're not going to has had its last move. We cannot have outsiders coming in, killing off our Negro brothers and sons. The lynchings must stop, President Roosevelt. And I know you can write laws against it. I know you can advocate against it. And you must do something about this lynching problem we have. We have a serious problem with lynching here in the United States. And us black people like myself that are walking around freely, we are advocates against it, and we lift our voices up against the lynching. We see too many young boys that are mutilated and castrated and hung in these trees. Why does these lynchings have to keep happening? And why do these sheep keeping in the night character assassinate our men and drag them to streets with no help in return? I am saying they tolerate it. Stop the lynching until I see the lynching stopping. We cannot continue as one people if one of our groups of people are dying off at the hands of the white male supremacists. Now we have the white female into the prison, and they've lost 6 years of their lives. How and when will this stop? It cannot continue to go on. And this is what Sarah Breedlove is saying, that because I contribute a large portion to this town here in Indianapolis, I do not want to see another black man hanging from a branch. When I come home to my community, I want to be able to have a celebration of black men holding other black men, connecting with the other community of people of color. I don't want us to feel afraid as if we are ostracized. We are the first world indigenous people, and we will not be put down, or we will not be castrated and hung amongst the trees. And this is the final word, President Roosevelt. When I come back here again, I want this mess to be cleaned up. I don't want to see my sisters and brothers hanging from trees and telling me that there's no way to do anything about it. There is a way. You're the president. You go head on. You're the president. You can stop it. You make a speech about it. You stand firm about it. Because black men hanging from trees is against the rules and all of the biblical teachings that all of us must be abided by. I can't continue to implore you how I will pull out my businesses and products off the shelf if this hideous lynching doesn't stop. It must stop this day, because I am an advocate for this state, and I came here to do better for the people and uplift the people. I don't think they've done enough to warrant them being lynched and hung here. I know my worthiness. I know what I'm worth. I'm worth quite a bit to the people. You might say more dead than alive, but as long as I can live on this earth, I'm going to get every penny worth of my quality of life, and I will have the best quality of life. and I will not be diminished down to a Negro or to a slave. Not this one. I'm not saying descendant of slaves. I am an aboriginal indigenous person. I know my roots and where I'm from. And I know that I am one of the descendants of the Nubian people and the Nubian queen. That is why I rose to this level of occasion. I didn't just walk up here because my name is Walker. I rose to this level of thinking because I knew my position, and my position is royalty as Madam C.J. Walker. Now, if you don't believe me, check out all those other cities that I drove my fine, fancy new car into. They were excited about me when I came to town, and they rolled out the red carpet as if I was royalty. And I had the right hand of fellowship in every church that I went to because I was donating my products, giving out gifts, and giving out jobs to the people there who wanted to go to work for themselves. So I was like Santa Claus. Whenever I came, I was handing out gifts. So don't tell me what my self-worth is. I know my self-worth, and my self-worth is a great one to this town, even more than some of your white constituents. So I will go to Roosevelt and plead on her behalf to do something about these lynches that are happening all over the South. And they're not a coincidental. There are people taking black men's lives for no reason. And there are women going into the courtroom and falsifying information about black men raping them when we know it's not true. We must do a better job of servicing our Negroes better and giving them a way of life and a quality of life. I am an advocate, and I will continue to speak against anything that might bring my race of people down. I will not stop being an African American, not a Negro, but an African American. But in reality, I'm an indigenous aboriginer, an aboriginal indigenous person. And we should have our sovereignty. Somebody should alone recognize that we should have our dignity and our land back. And I'm going to be fighting on the cause of our land. Right now, I have to make trips to other states, but I'm here for temporarily in Indianapolis. And if there's something you need in Indianapolis, just let me know. If you want me to advocate on behalf of you black Negroes, I will. I will go to the courthouse and I will show my face in the president's arena and let the people know that I'm an advocate for my own people, and I will speak out against them. Any injustice done to my people is injustice to Madam C.J. Walker, also known as Sarah Breedlove. Thank you very much.